All right, we are live for another Thursday night jam with RCJesus and SASquatch. I've been out of town for a little over a week, so this guy's all attached and has been missing me, Mr. Dylan here. So Chris's life is back to a normal state, sounds like. Work has calmed down. Since you're a teacher, it's kind of the chill time, eh?
Yeah, I finally calmed down a little, so.
Yeah, what do you do? Do you do any other stuff in the summer, or just like lesson planning and things you couldn't get to in the year, or what?
Nothing school-wise. I set it up where I can, when the last day of school is the last day of work.
Yeah, awesome. You'll have to excuse me, I haven't eaten, and I kind of forgot about this, what day it was, because I just got back from vacay last night at like 11. So I was a little out of it, and at 8:15, I'm like, oh shit, it's Thursday. We got to do the show. So I'll be poking at some food here a little bit. I made some gourmet TV dinner in the microwave real quick in 5 minutes while I had time. But yeah, so like I was saying, I was out in Southwest South Dakota for the last week, hitting up the Badlands, Devil's Tower over in Wyoming. It was only a couple hours. I was in Rapid City, was home base for us in an Airbnb. My parents and my daughter were with me. Badlands, Devil's Tower, Custer State Park, Deadwood, all the stuff around Rapid City. There's lots of little cool things to do in town, Dinosaur Park, and all kinds of neat stuff like that. Where else did we go? We went all over. I can't even remember right now. My brain is still kind of out of it. It's recovery day. What's up, Sean? How's it going, buddy? I see you're having fun playing with the heavy equipment today, it looks like. So we'll talk about that. I took this beast with me, the Vanquish Ripper, Mr. number 78 here. And it took a good beating, as it always does. That's what I bought it for. They're tough as nails, so I beat the shit out of it, as one should. And it was a riot. We'll talk about what I did in the national parks for crawling, if I got in trouble or if I didn't, how to not get in trouble, things like that. And we already did the traveling stuff. So as you see, this is how I went through the airport. It was on my carry-all bag. I went from Orlando to Rapid City, South Dakota, through Denver as the layover, like this. Of course, people going, oh, I like your Jeep, or I like your truck. And the inevitable, how fast does it go? Well, this one about 15 to 20 maybe at most, which is fast for a crawler, all the questions. And then all the funny looks. People that don't ask you questions are just like, who the fuck is this weirdo? What's that on his back? What's up, Mark? And what were you wondering, if we were going to make it tonight? Yeah, almost didn't. I almost screwed up. But I remembered. So that's that. And then the other thing we're going to talk about that I got to say, I'm a little disappointed. I don't have one in hand and didn't know it was coming, because I talked about it with Horizon a couple of years ago as a good idea, doing some consulting work, and never heard anything since. It was in a conversation of just spitballing ideas. The new Losi Pro Moto dirt bike that everybody's freaking out about. The dirt bikes are a lot of fun. Back in the day, they had mechanical gyros in the rear wheel, like we're talking the 80s and 90s. And so you had to hold it up and then get the throttle spinning to get the gyro going. And they didn't work very well, because if you didn't keep it upright and know how to drive, the gyro would slow down or quit, and it just falls over. It's a disaster. But Atomic, which was Venom, then became Atomic with a K, came out with the Metal Militia 450 that was a total flop. You never heard about it, never saw it anywhere. But we got one as a demo at the shop I worked at before I started mine, and it was a blast, man. It had a brushless rear gyro in the rear wheel, big one. And you turn it on, the gyro spools up for 20, 30 seconds, which is how the Pro Moto works, but the gyro's in a different spot. We'll discuss that. And you could creep like this fast and it would stay upright. It jumped and landed great, pulled wheelies great. It turned awesome. I had a blast with the demo behind the shop for like an hour back then. That was 10, maybe 12 years ago. But I did kind of think it was funny that Losi's like, finally a dirt bike that works. I'm like, we discussed the Atomic Metal Militia back in the day and it worked awesome. But yes, you made it more scale by having a spoked rear wheel, and it probably does perform better having the gyro in center mass and the engine than the Atomic did. But the Atomic worked great, so I'm really excited about this. Chris has some information he's dug up on it, so I'm gonna let him get to that to fill you guys in. About RC in the parks. Okay, Mark. And I'm gonna inhale some food real quick while he's giving you some spec stuff, and anything he misses that I know about, I'll fill in and stuff afterwards.
Yeah, just looking at it, actually, I just pulled up the manual because it looked like some of the stuff I've seen, it looked like I had a secondary outrunner running the gyro, but now looking at it, it looks like the gyro runs off the main motor that also runs the gear train. There's
That's clever. I didn't know that.
Some kind of unit that goes on the side of the gyro that's got a couple wires going in, and then it's got a secondary micro servo doing something too. So there must be some kind of clutch system that it engages or disengages. Spool up the gyro, and then you engage the clutch for the rear wheel.
Oh yeah, that could be.
Yeah, there's something going on mechanically there that makes it all work. Because I'm looking at the drivetrain, there's the main spur gear, the trans gear, slipper, and then there's a secondary gear that comes off the spur that's running the shaft for the gyro. So it's
okay.
Yeah, it runs off the main motor. It's not sure how. It's still kind of looking at the parts.
Yeah.
It's a little vague, but
I didn't even think about them having the manual and the parts explosion up, because traditionally they don't release new stuff till Thursday at midnight, which I guess would be Friday morning, Thursday night, whatever you want to call it. But because this has already been at some events and stuff, they said on the private Facebook group for shop owners, they released it a day or two early or whatever, because it's already kind of out there.
Yeah, I pre-ordered mine, and they're supposed to ship like July 1st or something like that. So
yeah. Okay, so hopefully I'll have a first delivery. Man, they're shipping July 1st. I should have first delivery like tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what it's. I think that's what Horizon said. Is
fingers crossed.
Wait, look, it says
I'll be commandeering that first delivery too. That one won't ever make it to the sales floor.
Yeah, they're pre-order. Guaranteed delivery, pre-order right now. Yeah, it said like July 1st or something like that. I know it was right around there.
Okay, my rep was supposed to call me today. I didn't hear from her, so like 3 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock her time, I called, left a message and never heard back. So again, I'm a bit disappointed with them right now.
That's cool. So the battery slips in right under the seat in the back. Like through where the back fender is, right under the rear fender.
That's a good spot for it. You'd think it would give a high CG, but yeah. I guess with the gyro and the flywheel spinning, it doesn't really matter.
Probably only
Don's talking about some nitro circus comps in the future. Yeah. These are successful and really work as well as they appear to. And from people I know that have driven them and been around them driven, they're supposed to really work great. There will probably be race classes popping up and all kinds of stuff.
We got a pump track by our house and get the Pro Moto tires. Use a
pump track.
Pro Moto track would be a blast.
Yeah, of course, Horizon owns Proline and Losi, so Proline's already got stuff coming.
Oh, I didn't know they owned Proline already.
Yeah, they bought Proline a year or two ago now. 2 years ago, maybe, I think.
There's adjustment inserts for the chain tension. You can adjust the lean bars on the side or remove them.
Mine were getting removed. They look so damn stupid. Just know how to drive it. They're not that hard to drive, really.
It takes. I had one of the Venom street bikes. It took me a little getting used to, but the Venom street bike didn't have a gyro in it.
Yeah, those were the shitty bikes that didn't really work. They were hard to drive. But like one with the brushless gyro, like the Atomic, easy, dude. It took me 15 seconds to figure out how to drive it.
So I'm looking to see what they call some of these parts, because they're, what part is that? That is SPM XM XA1.
Mark's right. It's 2S5000. The RTR comes with a 2S5000 milliamp.
Wait, motorcycle? They call it the stator. It would be where the stator is on a normal bike, but there's wires coming out of it doing something.
Yeah.
In the parts explosion. So
yeah, it's obviously not a stator. So
right, they call it the stator in the part manual, but I wonder if it is just a little brushless motor.
I bet it is.
I wonder if that's what that is. It's just a little brushless motor that spools up the gyro.
You got 3 wires coming up?
It's hard to tell. It looks like a BE. It looks like just a JST plug, 3-wire JST, like a servo lead. But looks like there's another plug with 2 wires, so it might have a little outrunner, little torquey outrunner spun up.
Yeah, outrunners, they got plenty of power for that kind of application. You can make them real thin, so real short, I guess.
It'd be real easy to see. I'll see if they have the part number listed on the website yet, because if it's expensive, that would explain it.
Yeah, right.
That's $40. Oh yeah, so Proto MX Stator ESC assembly. So it's an all-in-one ESC outrunner is what it is.
Yeah. Yep.
That's $40. That makes
and
sense.
Multiple companies have been working on a lot of motor ESC combo stuff. You're going to see a lot of that coming in the next months.
So that's what that is. So it does have a separate brushless motor just to run the gyro.
Okay. I figured it probably had 2. That would have been some. I mean, with Losi, traditionally they over-engineer the shit out of everything, kind of like Porsche and stuff, to a point it almost got ridiculous in my opinion. Like, why'd you make it so complicated? So I wouldn't be surprised if they figured out a way to make the drive motor and gyro motor and all that in one. Yeah. But then if you have a problem with one, the whole thing's SOL. Although you're not really going to be able to drive it if the gyro is not working. You can, but it'll be incredibly difficult.
So there is a secondary micro. I wonder what that's all about.
And I was worried that the training wheels, I'll call them, that stick out the side so you don't lean over too far and slide out, weren't going to be removable. I was hoping they were. I've confirmed they are. You just said they are, and they're adjustable. So that's good, because honestly, that to me makes it look completely stupid.
It doesn't look like they're quick removable. It looks like there's a screw.
There's probably a screw or something, but that's fine. Once they come off, they're not going back on for me. Dylan, be careful. Don't be chewing on the power cords. Sorry. But what was I going to say before he made me lose my train of thought here? Oh yeah, those things, honestly, they killed it for me. If those weren't removable, I wasn't going to buy one. But I've talked to people that have seen it and had it in hand and driven it and stuff, and they can confirm they are removable. So
yeah, I'm curious what the extra servo is for, though.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem to be like a 2-speed. And you only need there's only one little servo needed for steering.
Yeah, there's actually, it looks like a full-size servo for steering.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That it's going to take a lot of abuse jumping and going through whoops and stuff. So I'd rather see a larger servo that's more robust in there than a micro or a mini.
Yeah, yeah, but secondary micro servo at the front.
Huh?
That's
it's electric, so it shouldn't have mechanical brakes. Yeah. I don't know. That's odd. I guess we'll find out.
Does it have mechanical front brakes?
I don't think so, but it could. Again, I never heard from my rep today like I wanted to. So all these.
Oh, it does. It's got mechanical front brakes.
Oh, it's got front disc.
Mechanical front brakes. That's what it's for. Yep.
Interesting.
So you got electrical rear and the mechanical front.
Oh yeah, so you can nose wheelie and all that kind of fun stuff, especially when you got it in supermoto mode.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
Oh hell yeah, dude, that's awesome. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, I didn't either. So that's what that servo's for. It's front brakes.
Okay, well that's nifty. Catch up on the comments here. Yeah, $64 for mounted moto tires, Mark. So that doesn't really seem that bad to me. They're decent size. They're a good compound that'll last.
Yeah.
Breakdown video off of it. Oh, I missed the breakdown video, Sean. Okay, cool. Was it live or was it pre-recorded? I'm sure they don't want me to take the stupid training wheels off, Mark, but once I buy it, it's mine. I don't give a shit what they want me to do. I'm going to do what I want, man. I'll cover it in steel and concrete and turn it into Heemeyer's bike instead of Dozer if I want to. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to want them to be removable. And again, from my experience with the Atomic, you don't really need that stuff if you know how to drive it. Yeah, once in a while it's going to slip and actually lay out because it doesn't have them on dusty stuff, but so be it. We all do the walk of shame here and there with our RCs to fix them. So,
yep.
What's up, Reckless? Brakes front and rear. Yeah, it sounds like the rear brakes must be off the motor, but maybe they're mechanical too.
No, it looks like they're electrical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Half the stopping distance of rear only, Mark says. Okay. It was pre-recorded video. All right. Yes, Dylan, I see you. I missed you too, buddy. So now the more I learn about it, the more excited I'm getting to see it and drive it, because they really are. I've regretted for years and years and years not buying one of those Atomic Metal Militia 450s. And you can find them on eBay and Marketplace and stuff once in a blue moon, but it's been gone so long, you know, God forbid the chain break or something like that happen over time, and you're going to be SOL, you know. Thunder Tiger used to make nitro street bikes and all kinds of stuff too, but I never drove those, and I heard lots of nightmares about the old bikes. So I never got into when I was younger because they were supposed to be a real pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Scale armor plating. Yep. Mad Max bike. I'm going to be curious how easy it is to change the figures and put custom figures on it.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Because I'm guessing there's probably figures out there of real motocross riders and supermoto riders you can buy.
Well, it looks like the body and
the size
the suit that the guy they have on is like fabric. It comes off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine it's one body, and then it probably comes with two different suits for the RTR and the bind and drive.
Yeah.
So the bind and drive is red and the RTR is green, huh?
There's a red and blue that are ready to run without battery and charger.
Okay.
Green one that's ready to run with battery and charger.
Yeah, and that's the one I'm gonna want, even though it's RTR. It's the one I'm gonna get. It's probably cheaper in the long run than buying new body and uniform for them, because I always rode KX dirt bikes back in the day.
Yeah.
Loved them. A lot of people hate them, but they're real snappy. They just fit my style of how I did shit, you know.
Yeah, I definitely like
motocross is a lot of fun. We need to get I'm actually looking to get a little KLX 110 and do a big wheel kit too. I watched Dave from Dirt Every Day. It does Dirt Head Garage on YouTube now, had one out in Utah, and it just looked like a riot. Kind of like my 3-wheeler and a dirt bike combined, but you have suspension.
I remember riding Honda had one. It was
yep. Honda and Yamaha.
I remember Honda had one. It was basically 3-wheeler tires on it. Big one. I can't remember what the hell they called that thing.
Yeah. I didn't know they existed until I brought up, you know, on Facebook on my personal page, hey, if anyone has one they want to sell or see one, you know, in Orlando or mid-Michigan, let me know if it's in good shape and for a good price, because I want it. And then one of my buddies was like, well, why don't you just buy one that came that way? And I'm like, what? They used to make them like this? And I don't think they come that way anymore, but apparently it was a thing they did in the 2000s, late 2000s or something, as I recall.
Well, I remember the Honda one was old. It was like an 80s.
Yeah.
It was an old 80s. It was, I can't remember what they call it. It was I want to figure it out now.
And if I get a KLX 110, that'll be just big enough to fit me and have fun on, and be kind of fun because it's small. You can really whip it around. It'll be light. And then it'll be, you know, small enough that my daughter can ride it too. And as fast as she's getting tall, probably another year or two.
I think they called it, was it the big wheel? What the hell did they call that?
Big wheels, I remember, were plastic trikes we pedal around on when we were 6 years old.
Or no, Yamaha had the big wheel. Okay, so what was the Honda one?
It was I think it was white instead of yellow. Or blue, I mean.
Red.
Yamaha, yeah, I think it was the old white before they went to the blue.
Yeah, Yamaha big wheel. It was white and red. That's what it was, a Yamaha.
Yep.
Yep, they made it. It's called the big wheel. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember them because I remember seeing them around when I had their 3-wheelers.
Damn it, Dylan. Stop fucking around. Yeah, sidecar attachment reckless says, well, traditionally I've never ever seen a sidecar on a dirt bike. I mean, they used to do the dirt oval motorhome stuff with sidecars. I think they might still race those that way on oval, but that's street style. But you can always make one, I'm sure, you know. Get your white mohawk and assless chaps ready. Yeah. 550 or 650. Okay, I hadn't looked at prices either. I figured it was probably gonna be 500 plus.
550 for the
Yeah.
ready run, and then it's I think 600 for the one with the battery and charger.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark's saying that the big wheel bikes float. I didn't think the tires on them would be big enough to float. Like they'll give you flotation over mud and sand so you don't sink right down like a dirt bike, I would think, but be hard to balance a floating bike, it would seem like. Reckless. Oh, the oval stuff for dirt. Yeah, and if you put the Supermoto tires on it, there you go. Build a sidecar and you can start doing that crazy shit.
Honda came out a long time ago. Yeah, see, I couldn't find it. I know Honda made one. I see in the Yamaha
Yeah.
one, I'm not seeing the Honda one.
And unfortunately the big wheel kits are pretty expensive. It'll probably be more than the bike. I think it's like $1,500 for the kit because of course you gotta get new forks and swing arm and all that expensive stuff for bikes. Yeah, 650 for battery, and that's the one I'll be getting. I'll be getting the RTR if it's the green one, and so be it. Throw the radio away into the pile of radios that are RTR and still use the battery. It'll probably come with a nice Spectrum Smart battery, I would guess. So that'll be good.
Huh.
You can fill them with extra air, with extra gasoline or air on the Honda. Interesting. Okay. So it sounds like this bike is going to blow up and be pretty huge. I have a feeling everyone online today is freaking out about it and psyched about it. And it's been so long since one's come out. That doesn't surprise me. I expect it will work awesome. Hopefully it's relatively easy to work on, but it probably will have its easy parts and its difficult parts. There's going to be a lot of stuff in a compact area. So
I think looking at the manual, the tires and wheels look like they're not too bad, but getting into the chassis looks like it's going to be
exactly. If you're working on the chain, tires, wheels, forks, swing arm, probably not bad. But if you get into the guts of everything in that engine casing, it's probably going to be one tight son of a bitch in there.
Yeah,
route the wires just right and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it looks like looks like the fork assembly just comes off not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole chassis piece, everything's just kind of sandwiched in there.
That's twin vertical plate.
Yeah.
Which could make it really easy or a real pain in the ass. A lot of people didn't like working on the Savages, HPI Savages, because they were TVP, but that's one where if you worked on one a couple times and you learned the tricks, they were actually one of the easiest to work on. There were a lot of shortcuts. If you did it the proper way, of like the instruction manual assembly, it was a nightmare. But I would expect, hopefully, this will be the same way being a TVP, but we shall see. I'm gonna cross my fingers that if they're shipping to consumers July 1st, that I'll have one in the shop tomorrow or early next week.
It does look like a hard body though, not Lexan.
I believe it is. They traditionally were in the past, most of them.
Yeah.
The Thunder Tiger street bikes were Lexans. You could buy Ducatis and Aprilias and all that stuff and change them. Yeah. But all the dirt bikes I'd ever seen and dealt with were hard bodies. Well, not like a hard body scaler, but thicker, more stout plastic by significant margin over Lexan.
Yeah.
So sounds like, is anyone in here watching planning to buy one right away? You already have one on order, you said, right?
I already pre-ordered one.
Yeah. So I'm guessing they're probably going to be sold out probably by the time they're actually released, and then probably on back order for a month or two.
Yeah. Yeah, they're still listed for pre-sale online right now. So
yeah. Mark says sounds like a job for Aaron. Yeah, actually, this one I'd probably play with by myself just to figure it out and get to know it. I do have a bad habit nowadays of dumping stuff that I just don't feel like working on because I've done it a million times before on them at the shop. It's a good way to fill their time when it's slow. But this is all going to be new, so I got to tear into it myself and learn the ins and outs and all that stuff. I haven't worked on one of these things 4,000 times before, Well, I guess that covers the bike pretty well.
Yeah.
Is anyone interested? Christmas list, already told the wife. Nice, Mark. Is anyone interested in national parks and crawling them and how it goes? if you want to see pictures and video, I've got them on my RCJesus Facebook page, 2 or 3 videos, and probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 dozen pictures of it. My goal was to be the first ripper to all these places to crawl, right? So it hit the Badlands twice, Devil's Tower, Dylan, and Custer State Park. Down. Did I take it anywhere else?
I wanted to see you crawling on Rushmore.
Oh, Rushmore. I brought it to Rushmore, and we got really lucky. The weather was amazing. For the most part, it was like 75 degrees, 78 on average, and blue sky. Devil's Tower Day was a little gray and overcast, but it was kind of nice because it kept it cool and it looked good in the background with the tower. It looked really ominous, you know. But Rushmore was actually a little bit busy. It wasn't jam-packed by any means, but it was a little bit busy. And the rangers there were not fucking around. Like, they were all strapped up with multiple guns and vests on. I'm like, these guys look like they probably take their job really seriously, and I'll get in some shit if I bring this thing out. And it wasn't exactly a place to crawl, so I did leave it in the truck. I kind of wanted to get a picture of it in front of Rushmore and stuff, but we're going to go back in a couple of years. We had so much fun and go wheeling in the Bronco and riding horses and dirt bikes and all that kind of stuff we didn't get to do this time. Really explore the Badlands. There's a lot of dirt roads and 2 tracks that are still legal to go down that are cool. So we're going to make a trip like that in a couple of years. So maybe I'll be able to sneak in and do it then. We plan to go back late fall, September 29th. They do the Buffalo Roundup in Custer State Park. And they round up the whole herd in Custer State Park, which is anywhere from 750 to 1,500 buffalo, depending on the year and how much vegetation is growing for everything to eat and all that kind of stuff. So it'd be a pretty good size herd. We watched a video on it, looked really fun. And then in October at the Adams house we went to in Deadwood, they do like a paranormal activity thing, and they have mediums there and paranormal people there with their EMF readers and, you know, microphones and infrared cameras and all that shit. And you can't get enough down. You can't get upstairs into the cigar room except for that month in October. So I'm like, well, enough. Hold on. Down. You're fine. Stay. You can't get up there, and it would be neat to see. So I'm like, all right, that'll be perfect. We did spring, now we'll do fall, you know. Hopefully maybe the leaves are changing a hair by then, stuff like that. But I just straight up took it, right? Like, there was a spot in the Badlands where you can walk out into it on a 1/4-mile wood walkway, and they encourage you to get off the walkway and look for fossils and stuff. In fact, 200-300 people a year find fossils. And you don't dig it out, obviously, but you note where it was, take a picture, go to the rangers, fill out a form at the visitor center, ranger station, and then they go out, you know, with paleontologists and properly excavate it and document it and all that. And they find a lot of fossils that way. So I thought, well, what the hell? If people are allowed to be traipsing around out here and poking around for fossils, I should be able to drive a truck. So we drove the Ripper for probably 20, maybe 30 minutes out there. I was up on top, you know, 50, 100 feet up in the air on this formation, the Badlands crawling. I look and I see an expedition with the rangers. And the windows, I couldn't see through the windows, but I'm like, oh, I bet they're watching me. Let's see if we get in trouble, kid, you know. And I think they just watched me and were probably like, oh, that's cool. And a minute later, they took off. No troubles at Devil's Tower. Again, I wasn't, you know, it's not like you're out there with the basher. I wasn't running into shit and moving things and setting up courses and disturbing stuff. I just ran it as is and tried to spin my wheels the least I could and, you know, tread as lightly as I could. And no one cared. Most people seemed more interested in it than like upset I had it. Custer was easy. Didn't crawl it much there because just of how it's set up. A lot of it's big rocks and stuff. Devil's Tower is kind of the same way, where it doesn't really work that well for a 1/10 scale crawler. You know, it'd be fun in a real truck. It'd have to be hardcore. But the last day we had kind of an open day on Tuesday where we didn't have anything planned, just so if we missed anything or were wore out, wanted to relax, whatever, we could do that. Well, we hadn't done bear country, and bear country has a bunch of animals that's drive through, and there's a ton of elk and wolves and buffalo and bears and, lynxes and all kinds of stuff out there, bobcats, mountain lions. So we did that first, and then I dropped my parents off, and the kiddo and I commandeered the rental. We had a Nissan Armada, and we wanted to go back to scenic South Dakota, which is an abandoned ghost town. And I kind of meant to get pictures there too, but we ended up being there for like an hour and a half. We were wore out, so I didn't get any pictures of the Ripper there. I did get a video and some pictures of the town. And before we went to scenic, anyways, as I rattle on, we drove through it. I'm like, you know what? Let's drive through this. We got hours of time to kill. It was 2 p.m, whatever, and see what happens. Before we knew it, we were back in the Badlands National Park, but it's like a back way. No tourists are out there. And so the first dirt road to the right we came upon, I was like, oh shit, and whipped it in there. Kate's like, what's going on? I'm like, we're going on an adventure. And she was thrilled. So we went down the road, great sights on it, nobody out there. And eventually you get to a part, which was really cool, where there's a sign that says high clearance 4-wheel drive vehicles needed beyond this point. I was like, oh, hell yeah. Now it's getting good. I'm glad, because I didn't know stuff existed like that out there, but it does. So we went down that, I'm straddling the ruts because, of course, the Armada's no wheeler, but it had 4-wheel drive. It's high, but I had running boards on the side I had to look out for. And we got to the end. There's a sign, Oglala, Sioux Nation, have to have a permit or be a landowner, blah, blah, to pass. So we turn around there. Some guy in a 4Runner with his mom was out there, all overlanded out. And I think they were worried at first because there's this big black Nissan Armada and this weird looking long haired guy smoking a cigarette, walking around looking. And they kind of stopped like 100 feet away and just sat there. I'm like, well, I'll start walking over to them, letting them know what's out there. Probably like, oh shit, we're going to die and get buried in the Badlands. But I walked up, I'm like, hey, just so we stopped and turned around right there and explained the sign. He's like, oh, okay. And then he saw the kiddo jump out of the truck and I think they relaxed. But I'm like, yeah, so we got to turn around here. But there's probably more trails like this if you keep going, I guess. He's like, all right, thanks. He's like, I wasn't even really looking. I was looking more out at the Badlands. I might have missed that sign and kept going. Like, yep, who knows what could happen? You could get shot or jailed or hellaciously fined. You don't know, going out on that kind of land, anything could happen. So on our way back, I found on the way out a 6 spot to crawl, just perfect for the 1/10. Very like moonscape. It was kind of like Monument Valley. I got some pictures and stuff of it's a needle formation up, and then it had like a balancing rock on top of it, like Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote. A lot of cool terrain like that. The bumps weren't too big, so we crawled out. Well, I crawled. Cadis didn't want to crawl. She wandered around for a half hour, 45 minutes, and got back in the truck. I was out there for probably an hour and 15, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, having a blast. And the Ripper, it served its purpose. Multiple times in the Badlands, it took some pretty bad tumbles. That last day when we were out there without another soul around, one truck passed the whole time we were out there. That was it. It's great. It fell probably 75 feet. And probably rolled 75 times, barrel rolled way down into a ditch, lands on its lid on these rocks they have in the ditch, and then hit so hard it bounced and landed on its wheels. I turned the wheels, the throttle moved, I just drove it out of there. So I'm very glad I brought the Ripper instead of one of the scale rigs. Had I brought one of the scale rigs, I wouldn't have been able to have nearly as much fun because I would have been worried about destroying it, and I probably would have. I'd have probably come home needing to do a whole new body. Yeah, the Ripper was cool to watch travel around. Good. It was a lot of fun to drive. Let me catch up here real quick.
Take your car if they like it.
I can't wait. I gotta learn. I haven't messed with reels much. I think I made 1 or 2, but I got that one shot the first day at the Badlands where I had it at full rip at 15 or 20 and hit this, turned into a perfect little ramp jump and lands on its rear wheels and drives away. So I'm like, oh, I should maybe be able to make a fun reel or 2 out of that with the right music in the background, cut it up. So I'll play with that. One of those should be coming at some point. Yeah, like I said, I didn't really see that many Rangers, honestly, but the ones that saw me didn't care. If anything, they were just curious and thought it was cool. Mountain bikes, I don't think you would get away with. I didn't see any mountain bikes. I didn't see any signs of mountain bike trails. No signs about anywhere you can mountain bike. I did see signs saying you can't mountain bike. So I would guess in places like the Badlands and stuff, you probably can't. Maybe around Devil's Tower and in Custer State Park. But in Custer State Park, I don't know if I'd want to be on a mountain bike either, because there's a lot of shit wildlife in Custer State Park that will kill you. And if you're on an unfamiliar trail and go the wrong way, there's a lot of 1,000-foot drop-offs that will kill you. Res police will take your car if they like it. Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be, that's what I was telling Cadence. I'm like, yeah, it's so tempting to just drive, if we were in the Bronco, to just drive off the road and start wheeling, out in the Badlands. But I'm like, number one, the truck would get taken. I'd never see it again. Number two, I'd probably get a ridiculous fine of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands. Number three, I'd probably do some time in jail. So that's all three of those. Is ding, 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 3 strikes. I'm not even thinking about it anymore, But it would be cool. It's perfect terrain for that. I walked all of around Devil's Tower and all these places with the backpack and the Ripper. It was just fine. Do my tools in there. I didn't want my radio banging around. So I just wrapped it up in one of the kiddos' sweatshirts and stuck it in the bag with a couple batteries, and off we went. It was really great trip and a lot of cool stuff to do, RC or just in general. They have a hobby shop in Rapid City where we were, but I kind of forgot about it and never stopped there, and thought about it when we were in the airport leaving yesterday. I bet it took years to get it cleared. RCs, again, I don't think they really give a shit about RCs. Maybe if you got a group of 10 dudes out there running them, they're probably gonna get pissed. But if you're out there on your own, or maybe with one other person, and you're behaving yourself, I don't see why they're gonna care. Again, if you're out there with a basher or just destroying stuff, yeah, you're gonna get in trouble. But like anything, use common sense and you'll be okay. Also, a big thing in life is don't look paranoid. Being paranoid makes you look suspect and gets you in trouble. Why does he look suspicious? If you look like you belong somewhere, you're good. It's like the put on a lab coat and have a clipboard and you can go anywhere in the world you want. There's a lot of truth to that shit. I've tested it many times. It does work. Reckless, usually rule of thumb. Exactly. If you're respectful and not being a dick, most people aren't gonna mess with you. For a crawler, they go so slow and they're not heavy or anything. You're good. And, I was careful too, like those formations that were sitting on the spires. I made sure to stay away and not bump them. Had I thought something was going to roll into them and knock them off, I'd have grabbed it. The odds are another big rainstorm and it would have washed away and been gone and made a new formation, because that's how it is out there. It changes all the time from the wind and the rain. But I'll let nature do that shit. I'm not going to be the one responsible for it. We didn't see any snakes. You do have to watch for rattlers and some other snakes and stuff like that out there. But like anything, if you're making noise, they can hear you and feel the vibration on the ground. They're going to scatter. So the only ones we saw were ones that were run over and dead, which is good. I'm not really particularly afraid of snakes, but I also don't want to run into a venomous snake and have to deal with that. Central Park, Sean says, has some good crawling and trails, and nobody says anything. Yeah. I think if you bring the construction equipment and start making trails, then you might get in trouble. And the Badlands would be a riot for these construction equipment too, because it's all kind of chalky, loose stuff, which made it interesting to crawl on. You had to get your throttle and speed just right to go uphill and whatnot. So it would be a blast, the equipment shaping and making roads through stuff like mining roads. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you get in a weird world of shit then. And I don't want to wreck the stuff anyways, like I said, So, yeah, if anyone else has any questions, it's a little bit early tonight, but again, I kind of forgot about this because I've had a hectic week, so we didn't have a lot planned. We just kind of figured this out in a half hour before we were going on. No, we did not have a close encounter of the third kind. I've seen UFOs before, but that was in Michigan many, many years ago. Buddy and I had an interesting experience. I'll leave it at that because people think I'm crazy enough. No one ever believes you when you tell those stories. No aliens, no aliens. We did watch Close Encounters of the Kind. I found it on Netflix and hooked my PC up to the computer at the Airbnb with an HDMI cable, and we watched it with Cadence after we did Devil's Tower. She thought it was good. She liked it. I hadn't seen it in 25, 30 years probably, so it was fun to watch again. It's a good movie. She was wondering what the heck I was doing with mashed potatoes, and then she figured it out after she saw the movie. Those little tabs in the foil you put under tongue. Yeah, they do, but it wasn't that kind of night. We were drinking and smoking some weed, but we weren't on any hallucinogens that day. A couple of days later, we were tripping balls on shrooms, laughing our ass off, having a good time, but not that night. It was the first night camping, so we were taking it kind of easy. This is when we used to go out and party for a week every Memorial Day when we were young. But yeah, I guess unless Chris has anything to add, or you guys have any more questions you want to throw in. Again, traveling with this stuff is easy. I had no issues. The only stuff I got from TSA was, oh, that's cool, or how much is it? How does it work? What are you doing with it? And that was it. And it goes right through. They asked, they're like, oh, is this strapped to the bag? I'm like, yeah. They're like, all right, we just want to make sure it wasn't sitting on it so it didn't get knocked off and stuck or something. And I'm like, nope, it's good to go. Send it through. And that was it. I did check my radio in its case, so I didn't have the radio with me, but I don't care about that. I had 2 batteries in there, 2 3200 3S Spectrums. No worries. Like I said in the traveling video, you do have to carry those on. You can't check them. And it did well. I had a blast. I'm psyched for this new Losi bike. I was a little on the fence last night and this morning when I first started to see about it because of a few things, but now those questions have been answered in a way I like. So I will definitely be picking one up. If I get a first delivery kind of thing, if they're doing that with these, where they send them out a week or 2 before they're released, I will bring it home and we will look at it. I guess July 1st, 7 days from now will be the 29th. So it would be a little bit before they actually come out next Thursday. If I get it, like I said, it'll hit the sales floor for display, but it's never going to hit the sales floor to buy. I'll wait for the stuff that comes on the 1st to sell people, they can still pre-order or whatever. So I'll drive it around and give it a thorough testing and beat the hell out of it and see how it does. Let you guys know if it's this, or this, what Sean got here. I know it shocks me. The more concerned about my bottle of water than my truck or my LiPo batteries, right? Yeah. We had extra peanut butter and mayo that we could only get big jars at Safeway, no little ones. So they were still 90% full. And we thought, well, we'll fly back with them. We threw them in the carry-ons instead of the check bag. But shit, you can't even go through with peanut butter or mayo anymore. That's on the list now. I didn't think it used to be. I've never tried before. But yeah, it's not just water and gel stuff anymore, and perfume and all that, and toothpaste. Now it's anything, I guess, I suppose peanut butter is kind of the consistency of some explosives out there. So maybe that's why. But we thought it was stupid. So we lost our jars of peanut butter and mayo. Damn them for stealing our $20. But hopefully everyone else is having a good week and their weather's going well. I guess it's been shit here in Florida, rain and thunderstorms and borderline tropical storms the whole time I've been gone, but we're golden in South Dakota. It started raining and thundering the morning we left, but we were good the whole time. I've got to get to work on Bronco, so hopefully the rain quits soon here. Got to try and drive to Michigan mid-July, so I got about 3 weeks to get it running and put 400 or 500 miles on it, testing it, making sure it's good for the trip. Rain here in Alberta, eh? Yeah, you probably get spring rain quite a bit until the end of July, I would guess, up there. Michigan can be the same way a lot. Wet springs, if it's a good year. Better to have a wet spring if it's not too wet than a dry one and have a drought all summer. Well, I guess we will call it, boys and girls. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for hanging out and asking questions and shooting the shit. And we will see you next Thursday, hopefully, with the Pro Moto in hand.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you guys.